from questions we receive from citizens that we perceive that they want to be more involved in that process, not in the process, but also in taking direct action. And I think Christian can ask you some questions about that. I'm gonna take it.
Thank you, Tehri, for your time. We appreciate your presence here immensely. I'm going to refer to you some questions that have come from citizens, and they fall in several areas. They fall in terms of the business impact, they fall in terms of their own lifestyle and how such lifestyle is going to be modified, what they can do about minimizing the effect on global warming. And then there's some questions that come from citizens in terms of education. So, with no further ado, I'm going to start with the question that falls in the business area, and some citizens are asking what are the specific actions the EU is willing to take in encouraging companies to explore environment-friendly business policies.
I think in that sense the emissions trading system is the most important policy that we have. This will implement a price on carbon emissions, meaning that when the businesses emit, they will have to buy credits, or at least even if they are given those credits or allowances, but for free from the member states, they will put that value, the carbon value, into their business decisions every day, and that already has changed the mentality, that has changed the way businesses work. And I think there's also other ways of encouraging environmentally friendly business, like the renewables proposal. There's again we're legislating on sharing a target between member states how to achieve 20% of renewable energy in the EU by 2020, and that of course will be implemented as incentives and requirements that will encourage those business sectors.
Well, thank you. Let me say this: in the United States, which I'm very well acquainted with, the objective is that through renewables we could create as many as 5 million jobs. Are there any type of figures that have been estimated of the number of green jobs that could be created?
I think there are different estimations. I think the European labour movement has actually made interesting studies. I can't quote those numbers directly, but in fact, a lot of these policies actually, if we're seriously reducing our emissions, for example, in the household sector,
yes,
that means insulating better insulation, better windows. That's local jobs. A lot of it is labour intensive, so it doesn't mean that we have to shut down our economy. And actually, what we as Greens call for is the reduction efforts that the science tells us that we have to do, that the EU should be courageous and do those domestically, because we believe that this is an investment into the European
sure,
industry and into the European business,
sure,
which will, they will be leaders in the future economy, and also this will create jobs in Europe.
And if I'm not mistaken, the EU is leading in many of those areas, aren't they?
The EU is leading, but I think also our friends in the US, even if they don't have the policies in place, they do actually manage to put a lot of effort into research, and I think this is where maybe EU is lagging behind. We do completely believe that these targets and the emissions trading is really the crucial driver to put those innovations into the market, but at the same time I think we should be also putting more money into research into the new technologies.
Now the question about education, because there's a question from a citizen that is asking here, what is the EU doing in terms of educational programs about the global warming and climate change in high schools and universities, for example? This is coming from young people.
First of all, we have to remember that education is definitely one of those areas which is in the member states. It's subsidiarity, and EU hasn't got an exclusive competence on that. At the same time, I think everybody here recognizes that we should try to do more, and we cannot override or dictate from Brussels or from the EU level what should be taught. At the same time, we should put together good information, and already I think the Commission is doing quite a great job in putting a lot of information available in the internet, and there's also financing available at the EU level for campaigns and for innovative ways of passing the message and seeking solutions and involving citizens. So I think there's some action going on, but I think I would agree that more can be done.
I have a personal note as a master moderator. This morning I went to the plenary session, Terry, and I could count at the time of the Florenz report, but only 80 MEPs present in the room, or about 10% of the total number of MEPs. Actually, in that room there were more tourists and more visitors than MEPs. And as I reflected on the subject, and given the importance for the survival of our planet, I thought I would like to have your views why so few MEPs were present in the plenary session.
I think that was a very good turnout if it was that many MEPs, but the fact is that our debates in this parliament are timed, and we have very restricted speaking time, and it has to be that way for the working of the House. But it means that members rarely come and sit in the debates if they don't have speaking time. So they might actually be following the debate in their office by the television. I was in my office and listening to the debate via web stream, and I would also want to highlight that even though debates in the Parliament's plenary don't necessarily always reflect the majority vote, and because maybe sometimes minority views are given more air in the debates, but I think it was very significant for this debate that you had the President of the Parliament chairing this debate. This is something to note. Yes, and there was a chairman of the Socialist group and the Liberal group that were taking the first speaking time of their group, and that just shows the importance that this House attaches to this topic.
Well, I think that there is no more question. I think that you've answered all the questions. Thank you very much for your time, and we thank you for your leadership and all the work that you're doing in this area. Thanks a lot.
Thanks to you for this initiative.
Okay,
I look forward to seeing you following it.
Thank you very much.